let's look ahead to Arsenal on Saturday. Jack, any chance?
I mean, on what we've seen so far, no. But equally, football's a funny game. And there might be, and I do wonder about this, a little bit of a chance for the squad this week to sit down and just be like, right, the drama around all of what's happened this summer is finally over. That feels like the last exit from Fulham that is not being sanctioned, if you will.
Yes.
And I think that gives the group an opportunity to sit down and be like, there's no more willy won't he hanging over it. It's this is what we're going forward. We're going to have to try and strengthen in the final weeks of the window. Fine. Start playing for your place. Start to actually get into the swing of this because this is what we're working with. And I think that should offer us some opportunity to just reset. Obviously, Calvin Bassey is going to have to come in for Tim Ream. We're going to see what he can do from the start of a Premier League game. There's a chance for Diop to try and redeem himself, I think, after the miscue on Saturday. All of it feels like a kind of, okay, press the reset button. Let's just put that aside. It's 1 win, 1 loss. There have been 2 performances that I would say the squad will look at and go, they weren't up to scratch.
Yeah.
And it now gives them an opportunity. As we say, there are no free hits. But if you've got Arsenal and City in a week, you're like, we're going to get 2 of the big guns out of the way and done with in the space of a week before or just as the window closes. And then it gives us an opportunity to refresh into that international break as well. Ideally, in many ways, and not quite to the level where you'd want to see this on the pitch, but this can feel like another bit of a pre-season, I think, for Marco Silva, because he can go, right, I've got a couple of weeks here with these 2 games, with the cup game and with the international break, just to try and mould what I've got with and try and mould it to what I want it to perform like. And so I'm looking at that and going, okay, go out there, give it a go. If it doesn't go to plan, okay, fine, it's Arsenal. I can accept that.
Yeah.
So I think that there's hope in that regard, but I can't see us picking up points. No.
I mean, Peter, Arsenal's start to the season, they've played 2 teams that they would have expected to comfortably beat, and they've only won by 1-goal scorelines. And in both games were given a scare. They went 2-0 up against Forest, seemed to be cruising, let Forest back into the game. And had Forest got an equaliser that day, I think that no Arsenal fan would have said it was undeserved. I think Forest really piled on the pressure late on. And then the Palace game on Monday, and yes, affected by a Tomiyasu red card in very similar circumstances to Tim Ream, where the second yellow was just, I mean, it was barely a booking. Certainly not warranting then
barely a foul.
Yeah,
never mind a booking.
And Palace probably should have got a point out of that one as well. I guess that goes 2 ways. Gives Fulham a sniff because they have not been convincing despite getting 6 points, but also could work the other way where the Arsenal players will be looking at 6 points and going, fine, great to have 6 points, but we need to go out and do a performance on the pitch that actually is worthy of potential champions. So I guess either or could be seen on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think Arsenal have hit top gear yet. They're still, getting going, I suppose. And maybe, yeah, you're right. Maybe that offers an opportunity. But it just depends when they do suddenly kick into gear. I think the way they've improved their squad from last year, the way they look overall, I think it puts them in a really good position. And to sort of repeat what they did last season, which was push City. And when you're playing against a team like that with that kind of depth and that kind of quality, then it's if you catch them on a good day, you're in a bit of trouble. I think Fulham caused them issues last year. Fulham have caused them issues in the last couple of seasons in the Premier League.
Weirdly, more in the Emirates than at Craven Cottage.
Well, yes. Sorry, that's an important little caveat. But Fulham were, and I think when Fulham went to the Emirates last season, it was the first time we thought, Fulham are going to be a pain in the arse to play against for everyone. Really niggly, really tough, really aggressive, and I think it's important that Fulham can try and get those levels back. I think it helps, obviously, with João Palhinha getting closer to fitness. We saw him come off the bench. He's going to be. We know how important he is, but just collectively, just to help the team find that bite again a little bit. And not that they seem to have lost it. I don't think that's something that they initially lost, but we saw it more at the start of the second half against Brentford. Like it felt a bit more notable. That's at Craven Cottage. It was always a case that Fulham would get in your face. It's going to be tough. Just don't make it easy. Don't hand them clear gifted chances in the way that the team did. So it's an opportunity to show that, I think, to rediscover that side of their game, because that was absolutely essential. And I think in particular with Palhinha, I think it'll be good to just see if we can move Lukic forward a little bit. I think Lukic has been fine. He's doing fine. He's just, for me, he's not a 6. I don't think he was signed to be a 6 either. I know, Jack, you've talked about this a lot. I know we talked about it a lot, that Fulham could do with an alternative to Palhinha. I don't think you can get like for a Palhinha, but someone with that side to their game. Just because that midfield screen is so important. It was really lacking against Everton. It was better against Brentford, I thought. But I think we'll see the best of Lukic in a more advanced role. I think what's been interesting with Lukic anyway, I don't know what you think about this, but he's sort of this. We know he can be a conductor, like he likes to dictate the tempo of the game and with possession. That's not really going to happen at Arsenal, but he's almost been pushed into that sort of 6 kind of position to do it. I just don't know if that gets the most out of him. But Palhinha may change that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that pushing him further forward allows him to carry a little bit more as well, which I think is one of his real strengths. He's one of those players that slightly glides across the turf, I think, when he has the ball, and it's nice to see him in full flight. I don't think we've really been able to see that from that deeper position, because he's expected to sit and screen. And so maybe that ability in transition is something that you can utilise against Arsenal. Forest used it in that first game, being able to carry. They used it wide, but I think there are spaces in the middle of the park there if you can find those overloads. And yeah, if Lukic can move further forward, I think that he could be a key weapon in that transitional action that Fulham could use.
But hang on, I mean, I'm expecting Palhinha to start. He played half an hour on Saturday, looked fine to me, and you'd think that would be a natural reaction, especially against like Arsenal, putting your best defensive midfielder. Are we not expecting Lukic to drop to the bench and it to be the Palhinha Reed pivot that we saw pretty much most of last season, that was pretty effective for most games last year?
I wonder if Fulham go 4-3-3 here without a natural kind of centre point to play in the middle. I wonder if Fulham try to play on the break and play like a Bobby Reed through the middle and play a 3 in midfield of Palhinha, Lukic and Reed in order to try and stifle a little bit. Now, I know that's not what we've seen so far, and I know it's not really what we've ever seen from Marco Silva, but I also appreciate that this week is going to be very different, and I wonder if he just tries to change things up a little bit in order to mix this Fulham team up until he has the component parts that he needs in order to pull his system off effectively.
But then Pereira drops?
Yeah, I think so.
But we kind of often hypothesize on this and come up with different...
And then nothing happens.
And then every week Marco Silva just does the same, and he goes with Pereira. He kind of almost seems to have an automatic thing where Pereira starts whatever game he's available. I can't see him changing unless there is a dramatic reaction. I guess one thing that could be said, Peter, that if there was a game for Marco Silva to have a extreme reaction, probably Saturday would be it.
Yeah, I don't think it needs an extreme reaction. I don't think we're at that point, but it does feel like that. You think, considering the kind of team you're playing, that maybe he has more of an 8 than a 10. But we know how important Pereira is, particularly from set play, so it makes it really quite difficult. I don't think Willian's hit his stride. I think all the uncertainty maybe in the summer has probably affected him. Yeah, in terms, because he came in last season, he had that couple of weeks training with the team, and I don't think he's quite there yet. So, what did you bring him back in on the left? Do you take out Harry Wilson? I think Harry Wilson's been fine. I think Adama Traore could be really interesting in this game, because it's a question for Arsenal in those wide areas, particularly if they like to invert their left back. And I know that they're getting a little short on that side. So do you use Traore to do as Jack was saying, to try and move the ball up the pitch? He's a terrific ball carrier. So I think there's lots of different ways for them to approach this. It'll be interesting to see just how much they reshuffle it.
And Jack, I mean, it sounds kind of foolish to ask the question, what threat have Arsenal got? But what threat have Arsenal got?
Well, it's been interesting this start of the season, because obviously Gabby Jesus has an injury at the moment, and it looks like Flo Balogun's out the door after that loan spell in France last season. So it's been Nketiah leading the line, and I think he's done okay. Obviously won the penalty that led to the goal, and therefore the winner against Crystal Palace. He scored the opener against Nottingham Forest. It did just feel like he's kind of growing into this role. And actually the rapport that he has with Gabby Jesus and the way that they work as a kind of tandem partnership, seen a lot of videos of the two of them working together, you know, trying to coach each other on different things. I've really enjoyed watching. So, I mean, I'm probably not going to enjoy watching it at the weekend, but when you kind of put it in those kind of contexts, I think that they've done fine considering that their main striker threat is out at the moment. They thought there was kind of a discussion over whether Kai Havertz would play in that 9 role. I mean, I think that it's for the best from an Arsenal perspective that he's not. I don't think Kai Havertz is a 9, but I have liked what I've seen from him in that midfield so far. Declan Rice is holding it all together. They're a little bit short, as Peter mentioned, at both fullbacks now. It does feel like they're pushing square pegs into round holes in this regard. Thomas Partey played at right back for a couple of the games so far, and also now that Tommy Yasu's out and now that Timber's out, I wonder if they bring Kieran Tierney back in. Now Zinchenko's on the verge of returning, but it does feel like he's not quite there yet. So whether they go with Zinchenko in there or Tierney is a real question mark, because it has felt like Kieran Tierney has been demoted to 4th choice left back and is on his way out. So to have to go back to using him at this point would be a bit of a strange dichotomy ahead of the season. Yeah. But look, they have plenty of thrust from midfield in Odegaard and Havertz. They have Nketiah, who is a natural goal scorer. And then you have the 2 wide men who are probably Arsenal's most influential players, Gabby Martinelli on one side, Bukayo Saka on the other. They have myriad threats from a variety of different areas, and trying to shut them all down at once is a mammoth task. It's something that teams have struggled with in terms of their creating opportunities. They haven't quite been on song yet in terms of finishing them, which is something we can take heart from. But the fact that they have been able to be in those areas without any of those players, Saka, Martinelli, really hitting their stride, I don't think at this point yet. I think bodes rough for Saturday if any of them do find that rhythm. So yeah, it's going to be an incredibly difficult task, but it's one that everyone is faced with, and we'll have to find a way around various difficult teams this season if we're going to can improve and continue to stay in the division.
I mean, the only thing, Peter, is that whilst I have serious concerns about our ability to actually score any goals, and that is a serious concern, I still look at the back 5, and I'm excited to see Bassi came in. He played so well against Hoffenheim. Yep. And look, Arsenal's biggest threats, as Jack just mentioned, are out wide. Saka and Martinelli, quite clearly. And I've still got full faith in Tete and Robinson, and I still think that's such a strong position for us to be in. If you then have Polinia screening, like, I think that this is going to be a game that Arsenal probably will win, but I have a feeling that it's going to be tight and edgy, and it's going to be Fulham holding on generally quite well, because I just think that there's still a lot of quality, and like it's getting forgotten, I think, a little bit, and Tete and Robinson will be a tough task for Saka and Martinelli.
Yeah, I think if it can be tight and edgy, then that's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good performance and a confidence booster. But yeah, no, I do agree. I mean, Robinson and Tete were the standout performers at the Emirates, I think, a year ago, as well as Mitrovic. You know, those 1v1s.
Never heard
those 1v1s with Saka and Martinelli, they were both outstanding. And yeah, I know it feels a little bleak, but in terms of the actual squad, most of them are still there, apart from he who must not be named, or I don't know how we're treating this. But the rest of the spine is there. So with Polinia back, we know how important he is and how influential he is and how different the team looks when he's in it. We talked about last year. If he's back, I think it looks a different look for them, and maybe that will change the picture a bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens on Saturday. 3:00 kickoff at the Emirates. I'm heading up. I haven't been since I think we lost 4-1 in the
New Year's Day.
Abu
Kamara scored.
Yeah, and Abu Kamara scored a penalty. Iconic stuff.
What a day.
In the blue shirt. We missed a few chances that day as well. I think Ryan Sessegnon missed a couple of one-on-ones. Oh, it could have been so different.